Hello to everybody. It's my pleasure to be with you, and it's my pleasure to be in Vienna to talk about motor insurance in the Eastern region because I would say it's our natural playground. Generali was founded in Tieste 186 years ago. At the time being, it was the Austrian-Hungarian Empire, so we expanded quite quickly in the region, and we have been providing financial services and insurance almost since 200 years. So it's, we are feeling like playing at home, as I was saying. Some basic figures in order to understand our presence in the region. We have nowadays more than 9 million customers. We are fairly well entrenched in terms of market share in main geographies. For instance, in Hungary, we are the top player. We are the second top players in Hungary, in Czech Republic, in Serbia, and so forth. So we have some significant volume. It's about year 2015 figures, so we are expecting to provide soon the disclosure of year-end 2016, but it's almost 3.6 billion euro. Out of this, well, it's not only top line what is all about, obviously, it's about value creation. Just to give you a signal of how relevant is CE region for Generali Group, it's about 5% of our top line, but it's 9% of the operating result, and a profit after taxes is 13%. So obviously we are with pleasure because it's a value generating region, and this is quite significant for us. Also our, let's say, mix of products in terms of lines of business, it's quite balanced. Typically it's about almost 17% MTPL, 11% casco, so 27% motor of the total, but also 17.7% non-motor, plus almost 10% corporate business. So generally speaking, we always say that we want to defend the core and prepare the future. That's normally meaning we want to improve the profitability of motor, to restore the profitability of motor, because there is a trend we will comment of shrinking margins, and we want to defend the future, prepare the future, sorry, in the sense of developing top line for non-motor where there is potential of growth, is a non-saturated product, and with higher profitability in all the countries. I would say with the exception of the Eastern region, where we are having also a very profitable motor line of business. So that's why we want to remain here to develop activity and to develop operating result. Just to provide, but those are a little bit more descriptive figures. So we have about 5.5 million vehicles insured in the region. Not the half, but 2.1, 2.2 are Czech Republic, almost 1.5 Poland, but we have significant stakes in other countries. Something which is important is that the region has, let's say, promising prospects from development in terms of macroeconomic growth, and this is only, and also this will be connected afterwards because it's a presentation presenting our views on the motor business in the region, but also connecting with digitalization, mostly telematics, and then it is important to be aware of what is the speed of renewal of the number of registrations of vehicles, because obviously this is playing in favor of having access, at least in the close future to come, to digitalization. So obviously the region has more development in terms of growth for the next years to come than other mature geographies in continental Europe where we are entrenched. So this is also interesting to be acknowledged. Well, regulation. Sorry not to be original at this point in time, but obviously we better not be original. Let's go to the point. So regulation is not under discussion. We need regulation for sure. We need to have an efficient regulation, but important to be known is that we are in a boiling environment. This was just to signal that in half a year, in 2016, 29 new rulings were in the region, 12 of them affecting MTPL. So we take it or we leave it. We take it for sure, with pleasure, but this is the environment that we are to play. And normally regulations are related to on the one hand, foster protection, transparency, helping support. Sorry? Some question? Okay. So I was mentioning that regulation is good to protect and serve, for sure, but in the end, the translation so many times, quite often, can be either in terms of increasing taxation or levies for insurance industries, not to mention with the natural trend of raising indemnity levels, which is proper and we support, but obviously this is having short-term impacts in the industry, and the impact is shrinking profitability. In this landscape, so promising macroeconomic prospects, but also regulatory shocks from time to time, we have to insert the digital transformation and the digital shift. Talking about digitalization and motor, it's mostly, not only, talking about telematics. The value proposition of telematics is clear from our perspective, because on the one hand, it allows to improve the revenue generation. Obviously, it allows you to have a better risk selection to acquire in a more profitable and sustainable way more customers. Here, also this morning, there was comments in the sense of mutualization or not, unfair discrimination, segmentation, etc. My background is I've been for some decades motor pricing actuary and also reserving, so for sure we have to do what is compliant and legal, but whatever is serving well for the purpose of fairly segmenting the customers is to be used. So obviously I'm not going to expand too much in the sense of how important is connectivity in order to improve the number of interactions that we have with our customers, fully embedded in a customer-centric approach, but this is fundamental. I do agree that previously, even 20 years ago, we had at most, hopefully, one touch point with the customer, which was the passive evidence that the customer renewed or quitted. And that was all, unless some claims were declared. So this is changing for good and for sure, so let's benefit out of it. Also, customer loyalty, so entrance, acquisition of customers is improved, but also the renewal, the persistency rates. Because we have better knowledge, we can fit better our offer, we can offer better the services, so this is absolutely important, and this is connected with the point B, innovative value-added services and even contextual offer. So everything is playing in the favor of better servicing in a more efficient and customized way our customers. From the cost reduction perspective, I will not expand that much. Obviously, it allows early assistance and mitigation of risk. Even this consumer driving behavior, it's a sort of rectifying behaviors of loss prevention up to a certain extent, which is fundamental. And obviously, it allows us to better steer to the preferred body shops network the repair of our vehicles. So it's all obviously playing a big role in terms of efficiency. I was talking about customer-centric approach and how can we be effective players in a customer-centric view by leveraging on technology and digitalization, mostly because of this enhanced interaction. We can have hundreds, thousands of touch points with the customer even in a year, thanks to connectivity. Here, I was just trying to reproduce or to illustrate the typical customer journey in the different stages and how are we attempting to re-engineer our business processes to replicate the business, the customer journey by means of an intensive usage of technology. This is covering from the entrance, the acquisition of the contract, receiving when traveling contextual offers, warnings from weather perils whatsoever is commented, analyzing the driving styles, providing driving scores, providing feedback, which is useful to rectify the behavior of our customers in order to drive on a more efficient, more safe, more conducive way. And also it allows us to widen the offer of additional products and to improve the persistency. Obviously, this is supported intensively by technology. Quite important thing, also connected to regulation, is data security and data privacy. Obviously, It's not a matter of discussion, it's a must, and we have to be compliant, and it requires effort and investment. But we have to do it, and I would say it pays back in return. So we have to use anonymized data to better profile our customers' needs. It's also going to the point of product oversight guidelines, in the sense of detecting properly the customer's needs by means of using effectively the information. And also, as I was mentioning, it allows to develop contextual offer. So we can have now, we have mentioned some macro insurance examples. I think this is also the future to come. But whenever implementing a telematic product in the arena, it's obviously important to acknowledge what is the stage of maturity of the country. A stage of maturity of the country or the market from several perspectives. One perspective is the attitude towards data privacy. For instance, we pretty well know that there are countries in which data privacy and how intrusive we are in the usage of information is more than a matter of concern, whilst in others there is a more open attitude. To this point, I will come later with some nice experiences as well. One thing was data privacy for sure, other was even economic aspects. What is the absolute level of average premium? Obviously, there are implications from the business case in order to succeed or fail. But okay, what we have to keep in mind is that there is a wide variety of entry points into a telematic solution. Obviously, the more rigorous it is, the more value we can extract. Traditionally, we were talking in the traditional approach of risk proxies. Then we started with the usage-based insurance to purely track utilization of vehicles, number of trips, times of day, mileage, whatsoever. It was a good starting. Now we move from pay as you drive to pay how you drive, effectively moving to a behavioral conception of products. Because what is important from our point is to profile and to understand properly the customer, not even from the pure motor perspective, but it gives you a very valuable information even to develop other lines of business. So obviously we started with the typical approach of counting events, cornering, speed limits, breaching, etc., etc. This was fair to begin with, and we have some solutions in this regard, but now we are moving to a full behavioral approach. And in this sense, we do believe that much in this approach that we have also acquired some startups like MyDrive, which is a UK-based startup, especially devoted to profile customer driving behavior. So we are making exhaustive usage of this information, not only counting events, but classifying customers in terms of how likely are they to anticipate situations, how aggressive they are when driving, what is the adaptability they have to face situations, how do they react in front of some even unexpected maneuvers. So this is absolutely valuable. It can be formalized, obviously, and we can make effective usage of this. Obviously, the more sophisticated the approach, the more value. I was commenting, it's fundamental to understand the degree of maturity and the capacity of absorption of a given value proposition in telematic terms when we are going to introduce this proposition in a market. One thing is how is the perception of the customer base towards intrusiveness or not, data privacy, and that part already commented, but also what is the right technology that we can use in order to introduce the products. Here we just wanted to present different alternatives from more simple to more sophisticated already in place in our organization. Moving from the traditional smartphone app, which is the cheap entry point, obviously it's not so reliable from the technical perspective. We cannot trust the level of service that we can add to this technology is much more limited, but it's an entry point nevertheless. We have examples, for instance, in Germany. We are not now also trying to to have some in between, some windscreen devices, but here we have some Bluetooth stickers, some impairment devices that we can combine with the smartphone so that we can have a little bit more rigor and security of the information that we extract, and adding also some additional services. Obviously, this is not even fully reliable from the technical perspective technology method, but obviously also in terms of cost, and cost, it's also an economic driver that we have to consider for the business case of a telematic product. It allows you to start working in some countries where from other perspective economic feasibility is not still present. I was mentioning some windscreen device, and obviously last but not least, hard installed black box, which provides you the full capacity in terms of extracting and sending information in a more reliable way, and obviously it allows you to provide better service either in terms of depth, in terms of crash, in whatever the case. And we have experiences in different regards, either in Germany, Slovakia, for SOS partner. I will comment a little bit more. And obviously the more sophisticated approach, either in Italy or in Spain, in other geographies. Here it's just to present what is the current state of the art of the telematic business of Generali in Quants. Generally speaking, we are about 1 to 3 million connected vehicles already covered, already in force. 300,000 almost are in Southern America and Argentina related to depth of vehicles coverage, but almost 1 million vehicles are already with a black box component, mostly in continental Europe. And we are extracting a lot of information and analyzing customer behaviors, profiling, etc. And it's a quite promising area. In this regard, it's not only Italy, which has been exhaustively commented all through this event. Also in Germany, we have, in Italy, we launched it in 2011, the first Pay How You Drive product, which was Quality Driver in General, our direct operation in Italy. Afterwards, we have launched a more behavioral product, which is Generali Sei in Auto Seguro for Generali Italia. But also there was huge activity in Germany in 2016, where we launched 3 products, one for each one of the business units. Then Generali Mobility for Generali Versicherung, Telematik for Aachener Münchner, and also Better Drive for Cosmos Versicherung, the direct operation of the group. And last but not least, also let's comment our entry point, let's say, of the telematic business in the eastern region. It was the case, it is, of SOS Partner, a product which is covering both MTPL and Casco coverages in Slovakia. Is this device which is in between the smartphone consideration and the black box. So far the experience also provides support, immediate calling automatically in case of crash, etc. So it has also some safety components, but obviously it gives upfront some discount. Afterwards we assess the driving style, and we at the renewal sophisticate a little bit more the pricing scheme or the underwriting criteria. Just to finish and to allow time for questions, because the day it's been a long day, but interesting in any case. We can understand that so far CE has not been a blooming region for the telematic business. We can understand the reasons why. Practically speaking, is mostly because of the absolute level of average premiums in motor business, either MTPL or Casco. We do believe that this process, promising perspectives from the macroeconomic point of view, will also not only converge the GDP gradually over time, but as well the indemnity levels. Regulation was in this line, absolutely. So from the average premium perspective, there is a natural process of convergence, taking more or less time. But also in this regard, we have more or less expensive solutions, all the market in the end, in order to face this this product, this value proposition. Also from the perspective of the technological cost, mainly, as it was commented, is not purely the device, which has some cost implication for sure of installing, uninstalling the pure device, etc., but it's mostly the handling of data, transmission, storage, analyzing the data. This is obviously the more substantial part of the cost, but nevertheless, it's going down year after year. So sooner or later, telematics will arrive for sure to the eastern countries. This is our belief. Obviously, it can take a little bit more than in other countries because of the already mentioned reasons, but to face this and even to accelerate, we have alternative complexities in terms of value proposition. Also to comment that our experience in Slovakia so far is good. Obviously, we are aware of the size of the country, but we have some thousands contracts, few thousands contracts, but it's been well accepted by the distribution network and the customer base. Just to, this is coming back to what I was trying to comment in regard of the perception of intrusiveness. We have succeeded to launch even a connected product for health insurance, which is Vitality, launched in Germany, which is traditionally a country which is quite sensitive towards data privacy and intrusiveness, and I think that there was a little bit of communication effort to begin with, but afterwards was properly understood and digested. So I think obviously there must be a trade-off. We have to be compliant, we have to be sensitive of what the customer concerns are, this for sure, but on the other hand, our business is about risk selection and proper pricing, and this is obviously not going precisely in the way of mutualization. So we have to leverage on a fair way on the information in order to be more fair in the sense of more segmented and to better service and anticipate the needs properly of our customer base. And from my side, that's all.